Great performance is never luck. It takes a lot of focus, heart, and hard work. My dear students, today let us discuss about the various performance measures which help us to choose among different computers. When trying to choose among different computers, performance is an important attribute. Different applications are sensitive to different aspects of the performance of a computer system. That is, we can make use of different measures for measuring the performance of a computer system. Many applications, especially those running on servers, depends as much on input-output performance, which in turn relies on both hardware as well as software. Time is a measure of computer performance. The computer that performs the same task in the least time is the fastest. Program execution time is usually measured in seconds per program. In some application environments, the user may care about some measures like throughput, response time, or a complex combination of these two, that is a maximum throughput with a worst case response time. That is, we'll be having various performance metrics which identifies or which help us to choose among different computers. Let's look into the various performance metrics. Throughput, also called as bandwidth, it is the number of tasks completed per unit time. Response time, also called as execution time, the total time required for the computer to complete a task, including the disk accesses, memory accesses, input-output activities, operating system overhead, CPU execution time, and so on. So the total time required for the computer to do a particular task can be called as execution time, also called as response time. So to maximize the performance, we want to minimize the response time or the execution time for some task. So we need to have less response time. We need to minimize the response time. Thus, we can relate the performance and execution time for a computer X as performance of X is equal to 1 by execution time of X. That is, it should be inversely proportional. Okay, so if the execution time is higher, then of course the performance will be reduced. Okay, so we have to concentrate on how to minimize the execution time of a program. For two computers, namely X and Y, if the performance of X is greater than that of Y, then the execution time on Y is longer than that on X. Okay, if performance of X is greater than that of Y, then the execution time of Y is greater than that of X. If X is n times as fast as Y, then the execution time on Y is n times as long as it is on X. Let's look at an example. If computer X runs a program in 10 seconds and another computer named Y runs the same program in 15 seconds, how much faster is X compared to Y? We know that X is n times as fast as Y if performance of X divided by performance of Y is equal to execution time of Y divided by execution time of X is equal to n. We know the execution time for the program in the computer Y as well as X. In Y it takes 15 seconds and in computer X it takes 10 seconds. So the performance ratio is 15 divided by 10, which is equal to 1.5. That is, the computer X is 1.5 times faster than Y. That is, we could also say that computer Y is 1.5 times slower than computer X. Another exercise for you. Computer C's performance is 4 times as fast as the performance of computer B, which runs a given application in 28 seconds. How long will computer C take to run that application? So you know the performance of computer B, which takes 28 seconds to run an application. Okay, and the C's performance is 4 times faster when compared to the performance of computer B. So how long will computer C take to run that application? It's an exercise for you. Now let's discuss about some measures which relates to how fast the hardware can perform basic functions. Almost all computers are constructed using a clock signal which determines when events can take place in the hardware. These discrete time intervals are called as clock cycles, also called as ticks, clocks or cycles. So these clock signals are nothing but the discrete time intervals which determines when events can take place in the hardware. The term clock period refers to the length of each clock cycle, and it is usually expressed as picoseconds, 250 picoseconds. The length of each clock cycle can be called as clock period. The clock rate, which is expressed in gigahertz, 4 gigahertz, is the inverse of the clock period. CPU execution time can also be called as CPU time is the actual time the CPU spends computing for a specific task. User CPU time is the CPU time spent in a program itself. System CPU time is the CPU time spent in the operating system performing tasks on behalf of the program. Now we know what you mean by CPU time, what you mean by clock cycle, etc. So now let's look into a formula which relates the clock cycles and the clock cycle time to CPU time. CPU time for a program is equal to CPU clock cycles for a program into clock cycle time. Okay, CPU execution time for a program is equal to CPU clock cycles for a program into clock cycle time. We know that this clock cycle time and the clock rate are inverses. So this same equation can be written using clock rate as CPU execution time for a program is equal to CPU clock cycles for a program divided by clock rate. The hardware designer can improve the performance by reducing the number of clock cycles required for a program or the length of the clock cycle. So we can improve the performance by reducing the number of clock cycles required for a program or the length of the clock cycle. Now let's look at an exercise. A program runs in 10 seconds on computer A, which has 2 gigahertz of clock frequency. A designer is trying to build another computer named B to run the same program in 6 seconds. The designer has determined that a substantial increase in the clock rate is possible, but this increase will affect the rest of the CPU design, causing the computer B to require 1.2 times as many clock cycles as computer A, 1.2 times as many clock cycles as computer A for this program. So what will be the clock rate that we should tell the designer to target? So first we need to find out the number of clock cycles required for the program on computer A. Then find the clock rate of computer B with 1.2 times as many clock cycles as computer A. So we are having an equation, CPU time of computer A is equal to CPU clock cycles on computer A divided by clock rate of A. Okay. So the number of clock cycles required for the program on A is equal to CPU time of A is equal to CPU clock cycles of A divided by clock rate of A, which is equal to CPU time. The total time taken for executing the program in the computer A is 10 seconds. It is already given. We don't know the CPU clock cycles. We need to find out the number of clock cycles. But we are given with the clock rate. The clock rate is 2 into 10 raised to 9 cycles per second. So we can now find out the CPU clock cycles on computer A as 10 seconds into 2 into 10 raised to 9 cycles per second, which is equal to 20 into 10 raised to 9 cycles. Okay. Now we know the number of clock cycles required for the program on the computer A. Fine. Now Now we need to find out the CPU time for B using the same equation. CPU time of B is equal to CPU clock cycles of B divided by clock rate of B. So we know that the CPU clock cycles of B is 1.2 times of CPU clock cycles of A. That is 1.2 into 20 into 10 raised to 9 divided by clock rate of B. So the CPU time we are targeting for 6 seconds. So CPU time is 6 seconds. Okay, now we can find out the clock rate for the computer B as 1.2 into 20 into 10 raised to 9 divided by 6, which is equal to 4 into 10 raised to 9 cycles per second. That is 4 gigahertz. So to run the program in 6 seconds, the computer B must have twice the clock rate of A. In the case of A, it is 2, but in the case of B, it should have twice the clock rate of A. We know how to calculate the CPU clock cycles for a computer which execute a particular program. Fine. Now here we are going to consider the number of instructions in the program also. So the number of clock cycles required for a program which considers the number of instructions in the program can be written as CPU clock cycles is equal to instructions for a program into average clock cycles per instruction. The term clock cycles per instruction, which is the average number of clock cycles each instruction takes to execute, is often abbreviated as CPI. CPI, clock cycles per instruction. CPI stands for clock cycles per instruction. So the average number of clock cycles each instruction takes to execute is called as the term CPI. Since different instructions may take different amounts of time depending on what they do, CPI is an average of all the instructions executed in the program. In the program, we'll be having a set of instructions and each instructions may take different amounts of execution time. So the CPI can be defined as the average of all the instructions executed in the program. CPI provides one way of comparing two different implementations of the same instruction set architecture, since the number of instructions executed for a program will of course be the same. So using this CPI, we can compare two different implementations of the same program. CPI stands for clock cycles per instruction. It is the average of all the instructions executed in the program. Now let's look in an exercise. We have two implementations of the same instruction architecture. Computer A has clock cycle time of 250 picoseconds and a CPI of 2.0 for some program, and computer B has a clock cycle time of 500 picoseconds and a CPI of 1.2 for the same program. Which computer is faster for this program and by how much? Okay, we know that each computer executes the same number of instructions for the program. Say I. So we are using the same program. We are executing the same program in computer A as well as in B. And the program consists of same number of instructions. Let that number be denoted as I. Okay. So first, find the number of processor clock cycles for each computer. The CPU clock cycles for A is equal to I into 2.0. 2.0 is the CPI. Average clock cycles per instruction. I is the number of instructions. So I into the number of instructions into CPI. That is the CPU clock cycles for A. Similarly, CPU clock cycles for B is I into 1.2. I into 1.2. Okay. Now we can compute the CPU time for each computer. CPU time for the computer A is equal to CPU clock cycles of A into clock cycle time. Okay, CPU clock cycles of A is equal to I into 2.0. Okay, clock cycle time for A is equal to 250 picosecond. So I into 2.0 into 250 picosecond. which is equal to 500 into I picosecond. Similarly, CPU time for B is equal to CPU clock cycles of B into clock cycle time, which is equal to I into 1.2 into 500 picoseconds, which is equal to 600 into I picosecond. Okay. Clearly, the computer A is faster, right? The amount faster is given by the ratio of the execution time 600 into IPS, that is the execution time for the computer B, and the execution time for A is 500 into IPS. So 600 into I divided by 500 into I, which is equal to 1.2. That is, we can conclude that the computer A is 1.2 times as fast as computer B for this program. So we can define the basic performance equation in terms of three parameters like instruction count, clock cycles per instruction, and clock cycle time. And it is given as CPU execution time is equal to instruction count into clock cycles per instruction into clock cycle time. Okay. And we know that the clock rate is the inverse of clock cycle time. So we can also have the execution in terms of clock rate as CPU time is equal to instruction count into CPI divided by clock rate. These formulas are used to compare two different implementations or to evaluate a design alternative if we know its impact on these three parameters. An exercise which compares two code sequences. A compiler designer is trying to decide between two code sequences for a particular computer. The hardware designers have supplied the following facts. For the instruction class A, the CPI clock cycle per instruction is 1, for B it is 2, and for C it is 3. For a particular high-level language statement, the compiler writer is considering two code sequences that require the following instruction counts. For the code sequence 1 and for the instruction class A, the number of instruction count is 2, and for B it is 1, and for C it is 2. And for the code sequence, it is 4, 1 and 1 respectively. Which code sequence executes the most instructions, whether the code sequence 1 or sequence 2? Which one will be faster? What is the CPI for each sequence? The first step is we need to find out the number of instructions each code sequence executes. So for the code sequence 1, it executes 2 plus 1 plus 2, a total of 5 instructions. And the sequence 2 executes 4 plus 1 plus 1, which is equal to 6 instructions. Therefore, sequence 1 executes fewer instructions. Sequence 2 executes 1 instructions more compared to the sequence 1. Okay. Now let's find out the CPU clock cycles based on the instruction count and the CPI. The equation is CPI clock cycle is equal to the sum of the CPI into CI. CPI is the clock cycles per instruction and CI is the instruction count. CI is the instruction count. Okay, first let us look into the CPU clock cycles for the code sequence 1. So for the code sequence 1, CPU clock cycles is equal to CPI into CI. So CPI here it is 1 into the code instruction count is 2, right? So 2 into 1 plus 1 into 2 plus 2 into 3, which is equal to 2 plus 2 plus 6, which is equal to 10 cycles. Similarly, the CPU clock cycles for the code sequence 2, 4 into 1 plus 1 into 2 plus 1 into 3, which is equal to 4 plus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 9 cycles. So, code sequence 2 is faster even though it executes one instruction more compared to the sequence 1. The execution time taken by the code sequence 2 is lesser here, right? So the sequence 2 is faster even though it executes one extra instruction. Since code sequence 2 takes fewer overall clock cycles but has more instructions, it must have a lower CPI. The CPI values can be computed using the equation CPI is equal to CPU clock cycles divided by instruction count. So for the sequence 1, the CPU clock cycles is 10 and the instruction count is 2 plus 1 plus 2, which is equal to 5. So 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. And for the sequence 2, the CPU clock cycle is 9 and the total instruction count is 6. So 9 by 6 is equal to 1.5. So we calculated the CPI for both the sequences. So sequence 2 executes most instructions. Sequence 2 is faster and the CPI for the sequence 1 is 2 and for sequence 2 is 1.5. Okay. So in this video, we discussed about the various performance measures. Thank you.